All right, that's cool. Are we live? I guess we're live. Okay, fantastic. We're live apparently. Okay, 22nd of January. We're going to do the Mind Explained webinar tonight, guys. It's good to see some familiar faces again. I see that, let me see. Myrnas, you were here last night, weren't you? That is really cool. And then Sandra was here last night as well. Let me see. We had a lot of registrations here. Okay, I don't see any familiar names. All right, good. My name is Erik. Welcome to the Mind Explained. It's going to be exciting. I'm going to have some fascinating data for you tonight. Originally, this was intended as a series of 3, and recently, last week and the week before, we delivered part 1 and we delivered part 2. And now, actually, I saw there were a lot of new registrations. I thought, okay, good. Let's just go back and keep it very, very simple. We basically want to go into what is the mind, how does it work, and if there's anything wrong with anything, how do we fix things, right? So I'm actually going to be using data from a world bestseller. That is this book. It's called Dianetics, The Modern Science of Mental Health. Now, that is an international bestseller on the mind. You may be familiar with a lot of self-help books, which are highly motivational sometimes, which will give you steps to do, which will give you tips, tricks in order to do better in life. However, none of these books will really tell you how to avoid the negative or how to handle whatever comes up in your mind that feels very negative. So you won't get any solutions for what to do when you're feeling down, for what to do when you're feeling depressed, for what to do to just handle the heck out of it and make sure it doesn't come back in your life. So, having said that, once again, I just want to say welcome everybody. I see Jack here. Jack, it's been a long time. I have not seen you in a while. It's good to have you again. Let's do a quick round, quick introduction. Let's just put something in the chat quickly. Where are you from and why did you attend this webinar tonight? Just as a quick start off, we have a lot of data to capture and to cover. So the chat is open. It would be nice to know where you're from. And if you're a fast typer, maybe you want to put something in the chat. What brought you here tonight? Patricia is from Cambridge, and Sandra already said hello. That is great, guys. All right, good. Anybody else? So we got Amber, Nika. Then we have Ashton Porter, Jack Purwall, Carolina Koper, Myrnas Majidi, Mrs. M, Patricia Ferraro, Ruth, you're also here again. That's great. I saw you last night. Amazing. All the way from Kenya. Lovely. I've been to Nairobi a few years ago. Loved it. It's close to, well, basically was staying in a place about 30 kilometers from Nairobi. Beautiful country. Sandra from Lithuania. Ashton from Somerset, UK. Lots of learning about the mind, psychology, and personal development. Awesome. Ali from Reading. Okay, guys. So let me go back. Thank you for that. Let me go back quickly to the book. So what is the book all about? That's an international bestseller. So more than 22 million copies. Has been translated into 50 languages. The link is going to appear just in a second, so you can actually have an idea where you can find the book for future reference. Now, it says Dianetics, meaning dia, meaning through, coming from Greek. Netics from the word nous in Greek, meaning mind. In other words, through the mind, or what the mind is doing to you and your body. Now, interesting point here, it says the modern science of mental health. All right, so a science, we could say, is a body of knowledge. And with that body of knowledge, you could normally make predictions as to what is going to happen. You could also get results. Yeah, a decent science will actually give you results. So the whole idea is, let's say you have a car, it breaks down, you bring it to a garage. The mechanic will actually know what to do. So he knows about cars, he knows what causes the failure, and then he knows how to handle it, and then he actually can get the result and bring it back in the desired condition. Now, we want to do the same thing in the field of the mind. Dianetics is actually the book that gives you that promise, that makes that promise that you can actually fix things. Now, I'm going to just leave it there, and we're going to go into, well, let's just start with the webinar. Let's do that. Now, first question. We're going to make it very, very interactive. First question for you. Do you think that anybody really knows what the mind is, how it works, what it is that limits your potential, that's causing stress, self-doubt, and all the unwanted emotions and feelings, and how you can actually fix that? Do you think that anybody knows this? That anybody has that kind of information? Just put in the chat a yes or a no if you believe that it is actually possible, that this information could be known, or that that data simply does not exist. I would like to hear from you. Does it exist? All right. Ashton says, okay, it's in part. Sandra says, it's possible. Okay, great. I'd like to hear from the others. Ruth, not everybody knows. That's for sure. Okay, so tonight we're going to learn something about it. We're going to make it very, very simple. For the guys who were here last night, we did a little introductory drill, a little introductory exercise on the mind. And we're just going to do that again briefly. So for people who are here now for the first time, you're going to see something new, most likely. For people who were here last night, we're going to do the same thing again. And that is this thing. I want you to remember for a moment primary school. Okay, just think of primary school. And maybe when you think of primary school, you can think of the building. Maybe you can think of the classroom. And if you think of the classroom, just imagine that you're sitting in a chair again. And maybe you can see the blackboard or the green board appearing in front of you. And you can actually point out where the teacher was sitting. Maybe you can also see where was the entrance to the classroom, or perhaps the entrance to the school, or let's say the entrance to the playground, the courtyard. Now, very, very quickly, maybe you have seen some pictures just flashing by. Right? Let me know in the chat if that occurred. Did you actually see some pictures flashing by? Did you just get impressions? Impressions of the school, perhaps the building, the classroom, the green board, the blackboard, the, I don't know, the courtyard. Did you actually get some impressions? All right, Patricia said, I would like to know how it works, as the mind is quite tricky. Okay, good. Ali, so you got some impressions. Good. Ruth, you got some impressions. Good. All right. Anita is joining us. That's fantastic. Hemmings. Welcome, Anita. Yes, the playground. Ashton. All right. I had more a feeling, a presence in myself back then until you talked about visualizing. Very good. Carolina, seen some impressions. Saw a big amount of pictures. Okay. Jack, cannot remember primary school, but can remember secondary school. Okay, good. Fantastic, guys. All right. Now, so all of you got pictures. Let's do the same thing again for a pet. Did you ever have a pet? Yeah, maybe a pet comes to your mind, like a cat or a dog or a bird, or I don't know, a rabbit, a hamster, whatever you had. Or maybe you had a pet at some point in your life. Now, maybe you can remember where that pet had his own spot in the house where it would sleep, for example. Now, do you get a picture? Do you get a picture again? Can you visualize that? Yes, you do. All right, great. Good. All right, so This is the first thing that we can observe. Our mind makes pictures. Okay, let's take it to the next level. We're going to take it one step beyond. Now, what I would like you to do is I would like you to imagine that you're sitting in your favorite chair in the living room in any house where you lived before. In other words, not this current house where you're living right now, but imagine that you're sitting in your favorite chair in a living room in any house that you lived before. Can be childhood, can be during your years of being a teenager, in your 20s, whatever, doesn't matter. Just pick any house that you're familiar with. And now imagine again that you're sitting in your favorite chair in the living room. And when you have that, what I would like you to do, this is a bit of a funny drill. It's a bit of a funny drill that you can actually do for yourself while you're following this webinar. So what I want you to do is, from where you're sitting, I want you to find a table and point at it. Say, all right, well, if I was sitting here, I would have the table right there. And have a look at that table. What was the color of the table? What was the size, more or less? What were its dimensions? What was its height? Okay? And now if you have that, let's find a window. And once again, I want you to point out to any window that you can find in that room. You might say, all right, well, I can actually see a big window there in front of me, or I see a small window there. And if you have been able to point it out, now let's have a look if that window actually had curtains, or it had blinds, or it had anything that covered the window. And did it have plants in front of it, for example, or vases, or whatever kind of gadgets? Okay, now let's find one more. If you have that, so we found a table, we found a window. Now let's find a door, any door. So once again, what I want you to do, from where you're sitting, just point toward the door. Where is the door from where you're sitting? All right, so maybe some of you have not been able to visualize it and to actually get the picture. But then you probably have the knowingness. In other words, you would know, well, if I was sitting here, then the table would be right there. And the window would be over here. And the door would be in the back of me. Even if you didn't have a picture, you would still have that knowingness. Okay? So, I would like you to put something in the chat. Who was able to do this? Who was able to locate these objects in space? Who was able to do that? Just do a yes or a no quickly. All right, Jack, yes. All right, Ashton, yes, great. Patricia, you did. Ali, yep. All right. Anita, yes. Sandra, I did. Amber, yes. All right. Carolina, yeah, easily. Fantastic. Ruth, you did. All right, guys. That's great. So, what does this tell you? So, with the first two drills, the PETS primary school, we simply looked at pictures, right? And from that, we learned that the mind makes pictures. Now, the next thing is that if we're doing the pointing out drill, we actually find out that these pictures are three-dimensional. They are three-dimensional. You kind of like create these pictures again in your own space. You would say, well, if I was sitting here, the table is right there, the window is over there, there's another window over there, there's a door behind me, and so on. You recreate that living room again when you think about it. So let's put something on the whiteboard here. Make a little sketch. Okay, so this is your mind. Your mind makes pictures. And we'll just say that this puppet here is a body. So we got two parts. We got the mind and we got the body. And we just saw that these pictures happen to be three-dimensional. Okay, so let me ask you, who or what is looking at these pictures? Maybe you can type that in the chat as well. Who or what is looking at these pictures? Who's looking at it? Or what is looking at it? Please pop your answer in the chat. Who or what is looking at those pictures? Should be an easy answer, I suppose. So what do you guys think? Who is looking at that picture, or what is? So Jack says it's the mind looking at the picture. Ashton says it's the memory, the recall part of the mind. All right. Anita says it's the mind. Good. Carolina Cooper says it's the part of the mind. All right. Okay. Well, what would you guys think if I would simply say it's you looking at these pictures? We just keep it very, very, very simple. It's you looking at these pictures. Okay, let's see how that works. Now, we've been having psychology and psychiatry on this planet for about, I don't know, a century and a half. And many people would actually say, it's my brain where these memories are stored. In other words, these pictures must be in the brain. And it's my brain that is looking at these pictures. And why would people say that? Well, because that information has been fed to us. We go to school, we receive that information. We don't always inspect the information. They give it to us in school, so we assume it must be true. It's not necessarily true. Now, it would be very true to you if you could take that data, apply it, and get a real result. Then you would say, wow, you know, that's really valid data. I can use this data, I can apply it, and I get real results. Okay, so now let's have another look at the mind again. We were just doing that little pointing drill, and we said, well, the table is over there, and the window is over there, and the door is over there. In other words, we were looking at something that we couldn't touch. We couldn't touch it like the whiteboard. It had no mass. But you could experience it. You could actually perceive it. You could actually tell, well, it was right there. I'm just looking at it. Right? So we're looking at something which is mental. It is a mental picture. It's not a physical picture. It's not a chemical picture. It's not an electronic picture. It's not a Polaroid. It's not a footage. No, it's a mental picture, right? Now here's the kicker. That picture exists in space. But you did not say, well, the table is over there in the middle of my head, and the window is on this side of my brain, and the door is in the back of my head. You didn't do that. Instead, you pointed about you. In other words, the mind is something that is very distinct from the brain, because the brain is something chemical, is something physical, and your mind doesn't have these characteristics. It is a mental thing. So these things are completely distinct. It right away proves that these pictures don't have to be in the brain. Now, we're not going to bother with that, where they are, because they simply seem to pop up in space. All right, so that is your mind. And now I have another question for you. So what would happen? We just looked at primary school, we looked at pets, we did a little drill. Imagine that you're in that room again. Now, you can all see these pictures, right? Now, what would happen if you think back of a sad moment in your life? What would happen? That is a question for the chat. What would happen if you would think back of a sad moment, a moment of loss, like loss of a companion, a loved one, an animal, a job, a valuable possession? What would happen if you think back of a sudden loss? Ashton, all right, you would have certain feelings. Okay, very good. For example, sadness, feeling empty. All right, thank you. So, who else? Patricia. Okay, so I guess, Patricia, you're trying to say you get a feeling that will affect your mental health. All right. Ruth says, I get emotional. Okay. So, what does that tell you? It tells you something very interesting. That we make recordings in there. We make recordings. Even stuff that happened to us long time ago, like a loss or an accident or whatever, that can even have happened long time ago, but also the emotion is part of the picture. It's part of the content. It's part of the recording. All right, now, has it ever occurred to you, for example, that you were small, you were little, like a kid, and you burned your fingers at the stove? Or maybe you put your fingers between the door and a doorpost, and you had the door closed on your fingers. Or maybe you fell and you hurt yourself. Or maybe you went for a blood test and you absolutely couldn't stand that feeling of that needle going into your vein, right? So these are like bodily sensations of pain and discomfort. Bodily sensations of pain and discomfort. Now, what will happen to you when you think back of something that was painful to your body, or that produced discomfort to your body? What happens if you think back of that? Please put something in the chat again. I'm curious what happens to you guys. In the meantime, I'm going to take a sip of my ginger tea. I put cloves in it. I put a lot of cayenne pepper in it. So it's a big booster. Put some honey there. It's actually quite tasty. I recommend it. So, quick question again. What happens when you think back of something that was painful at a certain moment in your life? Okay. So Patricia says, I recall the moments. Very good. All right, Patricia. So if you say, I recall the moments, is it just the moment that you recall, or does something occur in your body as well? Sandra says, shut down, hide that memory. Jack, you remember the bad experience and any hurt or pain you suffered. All right, that's an interesting one. Very interesting. Thank you, Jack. You remember that bad experience and any hurt or pain you suffered. Very good. Ruth, I clinch. Okay. Ashton, try to avoid thinking and recalling the trauma. Okay, thank you, Ashton. Nita says, frightened. I would not live to see age 28. Okay. Carolina says, I get anxious. Patricia, both. All right, thank you for answering that question. Very good. Ashton says, a physical twinge. All right. Okay, so something kicks in there, right? Mrs. M, you relive your remembered experience. All right. Myrnas, actually, I don't like recalling that suffering. Of course. Very true. So what we can see here is that all these things, let's call them perceptions, all these perceptions, which is what you perceive, is what you are aware of, such as sound, such as smell, such as what is happening with your body, your emotion, if you feel happy or sad, if you feel afraid, if you feel upset, temperature, all kinds of perceptions are stored in these pictures. That also includes pain and discomfort, emotion, thought, decision. It's all in these pictures. All of that is recorded. So some of these pictures actually have pain. Let's just use that symbol. So that pain can be part of those recordings. In your mind, you will find recordings that have pain. Okay, so let's just make it very, very simple. How do we use the mind? How do we use it? I gave an example last night. I'm going to give it again. Let's say you come home, you got your keys, and you're going to put these keys, let's say in a drawer. You're going to put them on a desk or on a dresser. So you're going to put them somewhere. And you're going to take a shower. You're going to find your newspaper and read something. And then at some point you look at your watch and say, gosh, I actually need to do some shopping. So you get all prepared. You put your coat on. You're ready to go out. You double check and say, gosh, where's my keys? Where is my keys? What did I do with my keys? And here you can actually see how your mind works. You would probably not look around in all the different sections and quarters and rooms of the house. You would probably just take a good look and just say, okay, what did I do? I got home. Let me see, where did I pass? All right, I got home. I went through the kitchen. Yeah, I walked over to the dresser to get my mail. I must have put my keys over there. Now your mind will tell you where to find your keys. Likewise, let's say right now you want to make a cup of tea. Well, you actually have pictures of where you have put your cups. So your mind will tell you where you can find your cups and everything else. Okay? That's how you use your mind. Now, so let me see. I just wanted to share a quote with you. Yes. All right. So now we're going to call these pictures, we're going to give them a special name. We're going to give them a special name, and we're going to call it this. That is a bit wet. Let me dry it quickly. We're going to call these pictures facsimiles. Just like in the 80s and the 90s, we had these fax machines, and they were producing facsimiles. So Dita is here again tonight, and I just wanted to share that definition with you. What is the meaning of that word, facsimiles? It's going to pop up here on the screen. So what is, at first, what is a facsimile? It's a noun. So a facsimile is any mental picture. It is made of mental energy. And it means a copy of the physical universe. Now, by physical universe, we don't mean the entire universe, right? If you have basically regarded a pen, or a marker in this case, then this represents the physical universe, and you make a facsimile of it. If you walk down the street and you see a beautiful car passing by, you make a recording, you make a picture, a film, facsimiles of that car passing by. That car and the street and everything around it, that represents that part of the physical universe. In other words, that mental image picture, or those mental images, we call them facsimiles. Now, we continue, and it says, all physical perceptions, like pain, like body sensations, all effort, for example, when you push, or when the door is closed on your fingers, for example, that will be an effort. That is recorded. Emotion and thought, which a person experiences, are recorded continuously. And these recordings are called facsimiles. That comes from Latin, from fac plus simile. Fac means from facere, meaning to make. Simile meaning similar. All right, to make similar. So what does the mind do? The mind actually tries to make perfect copies of what we observe. So I'm holding a pen, a marker. I can actually walk down after the webinar and recall the moment that I was holding a marker. And my mind made a perfect copy of it. Just like your mind made a perfect copy of your living room. It's a perfect copy, a copy of the physical universe. Okay, are you tracking, guys? Just a quick question. Are you tracking? Do you follow so far? Jack, yes. Anita, yes. Patricia, yes. All right. Yep. Fantastic. I like that word. Yep. Sandra, Amber, okay, yes. All right. Everybody's tracking. Good. So, let's clear up the next thing. So, we could see that you handle these pictures quite intelligently. You handle them quite intelligently. Let's say your friend just moved to a different location, And you're invited because there's a party. And your friend calls you and says, well, I live over there right now. You want to come over tonight? So what do? You consult your pictures, your previous experiences, and you say, all right, so when I leave the house, I need to be headed for that boulevard, and there's this big tower over there, and I need to take the traffic light to the left, and then continue. Basically, in your mind, you're trying to get these pictures sorted to get yourself from A to B. So we could say you are an intelligence. All right? You are an intelligence. Okay, well, you could also say that you are an awareness. You are aware that you're listening right now. You're aware that you might be sitting in a sofa or in a chair or lying on your bed, but you're aware of the fact of what is the position of your body. And you're probably aware of the temperature. And you're aware of the amount of light. And you're aware of the sounds about you. So we could say you are an awareness. We could also say you are an energy. You probably have observed that when you're in a very good mood, you endow that body with a lot of positive energy. You could make it sprint, you could make it run, you could make it do a lot of things effortlessly if you're in good moods. And when you're in a bad mood, you probably have noticed that you might feel a bit sluggish. And it's a bit hard to get out of your chair. It's difficult to get things done or even get started. You find it hard to put any energy into it. In other words, you're like an energy producing unit, you could say. Well, let's just sum it up and just say, well, make it easy. You are simply a being. And so now we actually get 3 parts. We could say man is divisible in 3 parts. You as a being. Then you have a body. And then you have a mind. And it's something that you instinctively know. You kind of like know that you have a mind. Because you would say, I have memories. I have no recall of it. I had some pleasant moments in my life. I have experienced some bad moments in my life. So you know that your mind is something that you have. Now, I have a question for you. What do you think? Are you your body? Or are you something more than your body? So what do you think? You are your body, or you are something more than your body? Ashton says more. All right. Just wait for a second. Maybe people are still typing. All right, there we go. Merma says more, definitely. All right. Anita says something more. All right. Patricia, definitely something more than a body. Okay. Well, let's put the same thing to the test again. Ruth, more. Thank you, guys. All right. Let's put the same thing to the test again. You could say, well, I am my body. Then you would also say, I am my head. I am my hands. But you kind of like instinctively, just like with your mind, you know that it is something that you have. You will say, I have 2 hands. I have blue eyes. I have no hair. I have a belly. But it's something that you know that you have. All right? So instinctively, we know that we are just ourselves. We have a body and we have a mind. Okay, so it's very interesting, of course, to know something about your body. How can you make it last? Some people want to get like up to 100 years old. Maybe it's even more interesting to know, what is your mind? How does it work? What is it that limits your potential, that holds you back, that causes you to be depressed? Maybe even more exciting than that is, what am I? How much better can I get? What is my full potential? Okay, so let's have a quick look. I'm gonna wipe the board again. So just bear with me for 30 seconds. Actually, I'm gonna change my mind. I'm gonna do something different. Let's just handle it this way. All right, so we take an example again. So here's Joe. Of course, Joe has a mind. And many years ago, he had a very, very bad experience in a hospital. There's the hospital, the H, and that caused him a lot of pain and suffering. So that's over there. It's all recorded. All right, now Joe has an appointment. He has to see a doctor in a hospital. So Joe he's on his way to the hospital. Okay, what is Joe's mind going to do? What is Joe's mind going to do? What do you think it is going to do? Patricia says a facsimile. Okay. Maybe you want to elaborate on that, Patricia. What is it exactly that you mean by that statement? A facsimile. Sandra says afraid. All right. Mrs. M says retrieve the sensations from that last experience. Okay. Anita says worried. Thank you. Ruth, remember his last experience. All right. Good. So, what is happening here? What's happening is that, indeed, that past experience gets triggered. Joe looks at the hospital, or he thinks of the hospital when he sees the hospital, and it triggers the previous bad experience. Now, there's a couple of things that will happen. The force that is recorded, the perceptions that were recorded here, are going to be reactivated. The pain is going to be reactivated. The discomfort is going to be reactivated. The emotion is going to be reactivated. His thoughts are going to be reactivated. The decisions that he took are going to be reactivated. If he was unconscious there, it is going to be reactivated, and he might feel exhausted. He might feel that he's completely gone, feeling wasted. In other words, there's something there that controls him. And you've probably seen that with yourself. There's something there that controls you that you can't shake. You can't control it back. And it's going to control his body. As you have seen perhaps when you had to do a speech or a job interview, you started to transpire. Maybe you felt a bit weak. It's going to control your body. It's going to control your emotions. There's something there that just takes over and puts the fear back into you, even though you're not there yet and nothing is happening, but the fear is already striking at you. It might even affect your mind. All of a sudden, you're in some kind of a fog. You don't really know what's going on. You're simply in a fog, and you cannot think clearly. So it controls all of you, so to speak. Now, there's a word for this, and we call that an aberration. You could say an aberration is seeing something else than what's really there. So he is supposed to see this, maybe some super friendly nurses, some super hospitable doctors, maybe guys that, just want the best for Joe. They don't want to inflict any pain. They want to keep him really comfortable. But Joe can only see something else. Aberration means you see something else than what's really there. We're going to put the quote on the screen for you. All right, in the meantime, Mrs. M, can I ask, can you replay a recording with even more severe emotions? Because you added to them over time. Yeah, well, you know what? Let's have a chat, maybe on WhatsApp, on the phone. I have some recordings. We can also talk in person. I'm actually going to offer that to you tonight. Dita, quick question. Do you have the picture of aberration? Yeah. Oh, hang on. Let me see. Oh, yeah. Yes, I did. I think I did misunderstand. Yeah, can you replay a recording with even more severe emotions? Because you added them over time. Absolutely. Now I got it. I'm sorry. I just glanced over it too quickly. But yes, you're 100% right, because you probably, certainly have more than one of those bad experiences accumulated over time. So they can actually ball up and become bigger. Okay? I hope that answers your question. Thank you very much for asking that. All right, now we're gonna extend a little bit past 8. I hope that's okay with you. Hope you find it interesting so far. So here it is, an aberration. That means, okay, you got it. Thank you, and I got it too. Great. An aberration, it means a departure from rational thought or behavior. A departure, like nothing is going to happen, perhaps. Maybe just a talk. But he's already imagining that something disastrous is going to happen. Something really bad or painful or intolerable. So that is actually a departure from rational thought or behavior. So it comes from Latin, ab, meaning away, errare, to wander, kind of like wandering away, no longer going into a straight line. So it means basically to err, to make mistakes, or more specifically to have fixed ideas like, well, it's just going to be like that, you know, it's going to be this way, but it's not even true. For example, a man looks at his boss and conceives that his boss poses a danger to him. Oh, he's going to fire me. You know, I couldn't possibly talk to the boss. Same thing here. So aberrated conduct, that would be wrong conduct. It would be conduct not supported by reason. In other words, aberration is opposed to insanity. Or sanity, I suppose. Aberration is opposed to sanity, which would be its opposite. So you have sanity, and the opposite of sanity is aberration. We could also say, of course, insanity. But aberration is more particular because it can pertain to a single incident that causes an individual to become aberrated. Okay? Let me see. Where am I right now? Okay. All right, good. Now, you could actually replace this example with any example. Let's say, okay, good, you know, like I had a dad. I mean, yeah, he wasn't afraid of anything. He wasn't afraid of anything. That guy, when actually he had to do a blood test, he would just stick out his arm and say, yeah, go for it. No problem. He would just look at it, how the blood would run out of his vein. And then he had an eye surgery, actually, where they stuck needles in his eyes. And he wasn't even nervous. I mean, it just baffled me. My dad, he was something else. He passed away. But so maybe a hospital is not an item that gets you aberrated. So if you say, well, Erik, that's all fine, but I don't have anything with hospitals. Okay, well, that's okay. Maybe we could just replace the hospital for something else. What if that you cannot deal with certain people? Last night we did a talk on communication. So let's say you had some kind of a bad experience with somebody. Very, very simple example. Let's say you once loved a person. You adored that person. And then a person all of a sudden said, well, Mary, Bill, we've been having a great time together. Do you know what? I met this guy, and he's got a nice Jaguar, and he's got the nice bank account, and he has offered me to live with him. So since that is a much better offer for me, I have to say goodbye to you. And your love of your life just walked away. And there you have it. A major loss. And you're going to meet somebody else again many years later. all of a sudden that person has some kind of behaviors, the way he or she acts, which are very, very similar to your ex. This person likes A and your ex liked A. And this person had a certain feeling for fashion, and your ex is doing the same thing. What do you think is going to occur in your mind? I'm going to have a sip of tea again. I allow you guys to put something in the chat quickly. So what if you meet again a person that has similar behaviors or perhaps similar looks that inadvertently make you remind of a bad experience in the past? What do you think is going to happen? Anita, oh my God, not again. Ashton, warning signs, avoid. Jack, you will recall bad experience. Thoughts from the last time. You'll make assumptions and predetermine what the new person will do. Okay, Ruth, that he will also die. You're also going to avoid them. All right, so here's the kicker, right? There's something there that runs on automatic. This was a big discovery that there's parts of the mind that seem to be running on automatic, which control our bodies, make us tremble, put the body out of balance, and making us sick, controlling our thoughts, maybe think really badly about a person, and even control our purposes, like what we're going to do. And it happens to be running on full automatic. Okay, now, here's the kicker. Let's say you have these incidents somewhere buried in your mind. But let's say right now, there's something there that just seems like a blanket or a curtain. You cannot access the information. The information is there, but you cannot access it. It seems to be blanketed. Let's say you had a very, very painful experience, but you were sedated by an overdose of drugs or alcohol, or you were, let's say, undergoing a medical treatment like an operation. There's everything else is still recorded. The pain is recorded. The sounds are recorded. Whatever is said during such a moment is recorded. And now let's say there's an operation going on, a surgery. And you're the one who's on the surgery bed, the surgery table. And there's two surgeons. They're having a conversation together. And one says to the other, I don't trust my partner anymore. I don't think my partner is faithful to me. All right? Just keep that there for a second. One says, I don't trust my partner anymore. I don't think my partner is faithful to me. So later on in time, you are home and your partner is late, doesn't show up in time. Maybe you get a little bit worried. Maybe you get a little bit nervous. Maybe you're gonna start pacing around in the room, looking at your watch. Maybe you're gonna freak out and just keep on calling. Keep on calling. You're gonna show some aberrated conduct. Now, here's a question. Could it be, potentially, could it be that what the doctors, the surgeons, said to each other, I cannot trust my partner. I don't think my partner is faithful anymore. Could it just be that that phrase over there now puts you in a panic because your partner is not there? What do you think? Could that have an impact? Could that influence you? What do you guys think? Would that be a yes or a no? All right, reactivate. Yes, 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 yes. Okay. Now, so you're going to get that feeling that your partner is not faithful, that you cannot trust your partner, and you're going to act upon it. So that might actually result in a fight when your partner comes home. Okay, well, you actually see there is a source of trouble in the mind. So far, it's 9 o'clock. We're just going to carry on for 5 more minutes. Does this whole thing explain to you how the mind works? Do you get a better picture now of how the mind works? All right, Ashton, much more to explore, indeed. Very good. Carolina, yep. All right, there we go. Yep, I like that. Good. So now we know a little bit more about the mind, okay? There's something there. It might even be out of your sight, out of your memories. Remember, these things are not tangible. They're just pictures. They're facsimiles. But it might be out of your sight there, as if they're blanketed, like behind a curtain. And they still have that force, that control over you. It controls your body, put your body out of balance, which can actually make you sick over time. It controls your thoughts, might give you irrational thoughts, and also controls your way of conduct. Okay, so I'm gonna show you another quote here. It's billions of facsimiles. Okay, there we go. Now, there are billions of facsimiles available. Billions of billions. These facsimiles can be brought into present time by the environment. Just like we've seen, the hospital can bring these old pictures back into present time. These facsimiles can be brought into present time by the environment, and unseen or unknown by the awareness of the mind, can re-impress their pains, efforts, and aberrations upon the being. So in other words, these moments here can be reactivated, they can re-impress on the being, and when that happens, he's acting in an aberrated way, he's acting in an irrational way, which is going to tamper with his survival. It's going to reduce his survival potential. In other words, it's making one less liable to survive. All unknowingness, the things that you don't know, the confusions, the aberrations, psychosomatic illnesses, more than 70% of all the illnesses, ailments, that we have is basically because of stress and aberration, puts the body out of balance, makes us sick. All that is traceable to facsimiles. In other words, the facsimiles and the facsimiles alone are the cause of all your troubles. Let's go over that again. So there's billions of facsimiles available. Billions and billions. Logical, because you're like a recording camera. You keep recording 24 hours a day. Doesn't matter if you're awake, if you're alert, if you're in, let's say, if you're sleeping, if you're undergoing an operation, you keep on recording and you keep on making those facsimiles. So these are billions. And they can be brought into present time by anything in the environment. Let's say you feel uncomfortable seeing your boss, which is your boss can trigger moments from the past, can project them back at you. There are certain places where you feel uncomfortable. There are certain situations that make you feel uncomfortable. There are certain people that make you feel uncomfortable. And these are just triggering past moments. And now these past moments are being brought back into present time and they control you. So these facsimiles can be brought into present time by the environment and unseen and unknown by the awareness of the mind. You are aware of being aware. You just have a look at that. You are aware of being aware. These moments can re-impress their pains. In other words, you can feel pain again. You can feel pressure again. You can feel suppressed. And you can feel the aberrations or experience the aberrations again. Thus, it makes you less liable to survive. All right, now, there was something discovered. There was something discovered in that whole research, which is actually what the book will tell you, how to fully handle these particular moments. Not that you want to handle your memories. There was something discovered in Dianetics, that is, if you could erase the force that is in the picture, if you could erase that, then the bad control, the negative control would cease to exist. This automatic mechanism would stop. So, while retaining all the memories, whatever is occurring here right now, it would no longer automatically trigger the past. You could remain in present and focus on the future. And you could remain being yourself, being highly rational, not be affected by any bad thoughts, feelings of discomfort, fear, anxiety, stress, all these things that kick in automatically. I want to leave it here up to this point because we're actually over time, 10 minutes. Patricia, you want to ask something? How can I help a person that collapses in front of me in order to help the person not to record facsimiles? All right, there's one key datum in the book, which is preventive. It's called preventive Dianetics. It's the first and foremost thing that everybody needs to keep in mind, is that whatever is recorded there during a moment of unconsciousness, if people talk, like I just gave the example, I don't trust my partner anymore, it can later on have an effect on the person. So when everybody's going unconscious, passes out, faints, whatever, everybody's supposed to absolutely zip their mouth and don't speak a word. If you want to know more, you'll find the answer in the book, what you can actually do. All right. Now, obviously, the whole idea behind this is this. There's something there that is limiting you, and it limits your potential. And it's been proven that when you take away that force, your IQ will go up, your confidence will go up, and you will be able to do things that you could not do before because there was something there that would send you away because of the fear that would automatically kick in. That fear no longer comes back. You will now do brand new things that you've been dreaming about, but you couldn't do before. I think, Dita, did we have a poll? We have a poll. Okay, guys. So I basically want to end the evening with a quick poll for you guys. And Dita is just going to put that, I'm not sure where you're going to put it, Dita, in the chat, or if it's going to show on the screen. All right. Okay, good. So in the beginning of the evening, I actually put up the book Dianetics. All right. And so in the poll, you have that question there. I would like to know more about the book Dianetics. Or perhaps, number two, I would like to have a consultation. You can have a talk with me. Perfectly willing to do that. I'll be happy to do so, quite frankly. All right. So, Miss M, thank you. It's been really illuminating for me. Thank you for offering this for free. You're most welcome, my dear. It's a pleasure, right? I remember that, let me see, I should go out of the screen. I had this already, when I was a young kid. I would come out of school and I would teach my mom about maths, and I would teach her about physics, and I would teach her about Newton's law and what have you, because I was excited to pass on data, and I've always loved that. So you're very welcome. Thank you very much for mentioning that and bringing it up here. Okay? Good. So if you simply want to know more about the book, let me know. If you would like to have a personal talk, I'll definitely make time for you. We could, cover things in person. Maybe you're running into certain things in life that you want to handle. Right now the whole planet is upside down, right? And it's you who has to make it in life. And it's either going to be good for you or it's not going to be good for you. That is the business. You don't have to do anything to just keep this going on forever in your life. Tonight we made a little bit of an introduction, how the mind works. Maybe right now you could have some faith in that there's possibly a real solution. Now that it has been discovered what the mind really is, that there's also a solution to really be yourself, to have a clear mind, to be fully rational, to attain optimum survival. If you want to do that, if you want to have a chat about it, I'll be happy. All right? So guys, if you want to ask me any kind of question, put it there in the consultation. It can be short, it can be large, it can be a simple question that you want to put on the WhatsApp. If you have any kind of question, let me know. Otherwise, I think it's been great to have had you here tonight. I think we had a jolly good evening. We had a lot of responses. It was very, very interactive. I enjoyed it. I hope you did too. So next week, Tuesday, 8 o'clock, another webinar, and we're going to repeat this thing again, The Mind Explained, next week. Wednesday, you're most welcome to come back. If you want to refer your friend, please go ahead and do so. I hope to see you again. See you next time.